Alright, y'all. So, I made the post about how I was gonna record this video. Not only because is the whole situation fucking crazy, but it's also a learning experience, not only for myself, but for a lot of, single moms out there, that are trying to get back into the dating world and just anyone dating in general. Men are out here dating too. It could happen to anybody. Um, so without further ado, oh, by the way, let me just say I don't know how to edit, so this is a one shot, one kill type of thing. So I'm gonna try not to stutter or say anything off topic or anything like that. So yes, all right. Around this time last year, I had just not really recently, but it was pretty new to me being single. I had just ended a 3-year relationship with my daughter's father. I felt very alone, very vulnerable. I felt very sad, depressed. I kind of felt like, nobody's ever going to want me now that I have this baby, and I'm struggling, being a single mom. It's hard. So I kind of felt like that was it for me. I was doomed to be alone forever. So I made a POF. I was ready to get back out there, stop feeling sorry for myself. So I had started talking to this guy, and everything was fine. We would text, nothing like major. We would, it was basically text conversation. So it had got to the point where it was like, hey, I like you like me, like let's meet up. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Like I'm with it. I need to get out of the house. So we decided that we were gonna meet up. He met me at uh the parking lot of my apartment and we went to the harbor. Now mind you, when he pulled up he was driving his aunt's car. Now keep this in mind. There's a little nuggets of information that, I need you to really listen to because the story gets really intense on some kind of low key lifetime shit. So, yeah. He pulls up in his aunt's car. I'm like, whatever, we could take my car because, I'd rather drive my own car just in case you try to bop me over the head and kill me and put me in your trunk, whatever. So, we go to the harbor. Everything's fine, everything's perfect. We're holding hands, we're laughing, we're, making memories. I'm happy, he's happy. We're talking about, our past relationships, how they didn't work out, and reasons why they didn't work out, what we wanted, we were on the same page. So that night we disperse, you know, everything was fine, we were super, in each other's face, wants a real boo boo cake and shit. Now, mind you, I am not that person. I'm all for if you like that lovey dovey shit. And to an extent I am, but I wasn't like, I was kind of mad at myself because I was like letting this dude get in my feelings, I was I was kind of mad at myself. But I let it happen. So, um, me being a single mom and I was working a full-time job, time for us was kind of hard to see each other. So I was like, hey, like, let's talk on the phone, want some kiss me through the phone with Soldier Boy shit, want some middle school shit or whatever. So, that started to become an issue because he was staying with his aunt and he didn't want his family, listening to his conversation. Now, mind you, this wasn't an extremely red flag for me because I have a nosy family. I live with a nosy family member. I love you, Mom. But you was kind of nosy sometimes. It's okay. I love you. I know that you'll probably see this. But I totally understand. I was like, can't even fault you for that. So I let it slide, whenever we could talk on the phone or, whatever, that was fine. So, it turned into, oh, when can I see you again type shit. So, we started hanging out after work. He didn't have a car at the time, so I would get off late. He worked at a restaurant, so he would get off relatively around the same time. So I would go and pick him up and I would drive him to his aunt's house. And we would sit in my car and we would, listen to music, we would talk, just hanging out, building a relationship. Everything was gay and swell and awesome. So, we were driving down the street one day and he was like, "Hey, look, um, things are not going so well at my house and I'm probably going to be homeless soon. My aunt's probably going to be kicking me out. So before that happens, I really need to find a place to stay." So I was like, I don't want to see you homeless. Like, I care about you. So, you could come stay with me for a couple weeks until, you figure out what you're going to do. So he was like, okay, like, I really appreciate that, whatever. Like, I'll help out around the house and stuff. So I was like, bet, it was just me and my mom and my daughter, at my apartment. So it would kind of be nice to have somebody like help out, doing, taking out the trash and stuff. So I was with it. So he came, everything was fine. Um, it started to be kind of spotty with him staying there. He had two daughters, and since he didn't have his own place, it was kind of spotty on him being able to see them. Now, mind you, his daughters are much older than my daughter. So I could kind of understand why he didn't really want to bring me around his daughters. I was completely understanding of that. I was new to being a mom myself, and it was kind of, it took me some time for me to bring him around my daughter, for obvious reasons, whatever. So I was okay with that. I was fed the story of, he was going to his mother's, his daughter's mother's grandmother's house and spending the night there with his daughters. It was like a neutral ground. He could stay there, as long as he was with the kids, he was taking them to school and stuff. And with that, I was also told that it was kind of uncommon for him to have them both at the same time and that he really didn't get to see his oldest daughter that much. So, that was kind of, I was like, I, of course I would want you to see your kids. Like, who am I to, be that girl? Because we all know that there is people out there like that, but your kids come first. So I was totally understanding of that. Now, in this time, you know, I was kind of, you know, like, what is this? Like, are we together? Like, are we just friends? Like, are we friends with benefits? Like, I really need to know. So, I was still talking to, other people here and there, like, not really nothing serious. Like, I was texting, he was doing the same thing, I imagine, because we hadn't really established anything yet. So, the first issue that we had, um, I had kind of had a gut feeling that something maybe wasn't right. Like, he wasn't being completely honest. Um, I got on POF and he still had his account and he had updated pictures and he had been on there recently. So I was like, all right, like, what's good? So I asked him, why do you still have POF? Instead of just talking to me, I would have much rather he said, because, I'm not ready for all this or whatever the case. He could have told me anything and I would have listened. But he packed up all his stuff that he had and he left. So I was like, okay, like, alrighty. So we didn't talk for maybe 2 weeks. Like, we talked, but it wasn't like we were hanging out or anything. So he was like, I miss you. I was like, hey, I miss you too. Like, it, I don't really feel like that we had to end things. So we were like, okay, we're committed to making this work. We're doing this. So he came back. Everything was fine. He was still here and there, staying at the grandmother's house or whatever. Now, here's another red flag. So every time that he would go to hang out with his daughters, he would not answer my calls, or he would sparingly answer my text messages. Now, be it that I see my daughter all day, every day, and I can understand that if you don't see your child that much, you want to spend every possible second with them. I can totally understand that. So at first, it wasn't really a major thing to me that he wasn't really responding to anything that I was saying, because he was with his daughters. If you're spending time with your kids, if you barely get to see, you know, I wouldn't expect you to be on your phone, worried about what I'm doing, because you're with your kids. So I was like, okay, like, I totally understand, whatever. So time goes on. He's starting to meet my family, my cousins. They were coming over and seeing him and stuff. And they were kind of like, why is he not, like, why doesn't he come out and do stuff with us? Why is he not, like, really there? So, I explained it away. Oh, he works all the time. He has daughters, whatever. That's what it is. So, in my mind, there was really no issue. I was kind of like, you know, y'all just hate you, whatever, he's grown, he know what he doing, whatever, blah, 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 why you worried about me? So, once again, I know I'm stupid, I missed all these red flags, I know. So, time goes on a little bit more. I was starting to feel like something was not right again. My feelings were starting to kind of get lost in translation. I wasn't really as in love and everything that I had been. We never really said I love you to one another, but he knew that how I felt. He knew that I loved him. He had brought it up a couple times, and I was like, I can't even deny it. Like, I really do love you, and I do see a future with you, and all that really happy stuff. So, um, he was like, yeah, I really have strong feelings. Never said I love you, but I know that men are kind of iffy about that. I know, whatever. Uh, you might think that I'm making an excuse, but at the time I was like, whatever, it's fine. You have me all in my emotions and in my feelings, whatever. So, let's see, we would get into arguments, and he would leave for a couple days, and then he would come back. He would be at his with his kids, and then he would come back. Um, it started to be a real issue when I would say, "Hey, like, are you coming home tonight?" And he would tell me, "Yeah." And I would make sure, like, I made dinner, like, all the wifey type shit, and he just wouldn't show up. He wouldn't answer my phone calls. He wouldn't answer my text messages. It would turn from, are you okay? Is everything all right, to, like, what the fuck, like, being angry. So I was really starting to get annoyed at this point. I wasn't fully committed like I had been. I felt like he was doing shit. So I started, resuming back to, you know, I was talking to other people and everything, because I really felt like our relationship wasn't committed anymore. Like, something was obviously not right. So, fast forward to February 13th. Now, if for whatever reason you don't know, that's the day before Valentine's Day. Now, I knew that we weren't going to be able to really spend time together on Valentine's Day. I had to work, he had to work. We both work in the restaurant industry. I knew that it was more than likely not going to happen. So the fact that we got to hang out the day before, and we even hung out at all, was a good thing. It was a good sign for me. So he came over, we, hung out, everything was cool, we ate dinner together, the usual stuff. So the next day, I go, hey, are you coming over? Nothing. This went on for a few days. It was kind of weird because everything was fine and then all of a sudden nothing at all. So I'm like, look, like, you know what? You've pissed me off for the last time. Like, I'm done. Just come get your fucking shit. I'm done. So he finally messages me and he's like, yeah, it is what you think it is. Like, I just don't have time for you right now. And like, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. So, I mean, I basically had to take that L and was like, okay, whatever, just come get your stuff. Like, I'm done. So, it took him a couple days to come get his stuff. In this time frame, I tried to follow his baby mama on Instagram. Now, mind you, being the creeper that I am, I had already, tried to creep on both his baby mama's Facebooks and stuff. And, I didn't really see anything like that I was concerned about or whatever. So that was not even an issue in my mind. Um, so she didn't follow me back, so I really couldn't creep there. So now I know this sounds crazy, but you know what? If you know me, you know that I am the Nancy Drew queen of Facebook creeping. Like, don't try to play me, son. Like, and that's why this story is so crazy. So yeah, he took him a little bit to come get his stuff, but he finally did, and I was so ready to say, fuck you, eat a dick. But, I confessed my true feelings. I said, whatever issues you had or we had together, we could have worked out. You're an asshole. I'm an asshole. I get on your nerves. You get on my nerves. But, whatever the case may be, we could have worked it out. So, some tears were shed. It was kind of an emotional thing. He was like, this isn't the last time that you'll see me. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I had hope, but I wasn't so pressed on it anymore. I had faith. So he had hit me up like maybe 2 days later and was like, that was a mistake. Like, that shouldn't have happened. Like, we shouldn't have, had that conversation. Like, I should have just got my stuff and left. And, just I was like, okay, like, I mean, whatever, but so started to try to get my emotions back together. I felt confused, I was hurt, I kind of needed that closure. At this point, I felt like it was somebody else. Even though I had asked numerous times, I was reassured, oh no, it's not somebody else. Like, I'm only messing with you. Like, you're the only person that I'm having sex with. You're the only person that I'm talking to, whatever. So I was like, okay, like, after I've given you all these chances, like, I don't care. Like, just be honest with me. Like, even if it hurts, just be honest with me. Like, give me that option to deal with it or not. So I started getting back on POF. And I saw that he still had his profile. And I messaged him and I was like, so you didn't have time for me, but yet you're still on here. Like, you're still looking for someone, but why was that not me? So he would read my messages, he wouldn't respond. So I had messaged him one last time and I said, look, this is the last time that I'm messaging you. Like, I'm I'm, I can't do it anymore. Like, I know that you're not responding, but I know that you're reading it. I know that you know how I feel. Like, it's just blowing me that you can't respond. Like, I was asking for closure. Like, is it really that you didn't have time for me, or was it really another reason? So I was done. That was my last straw. I was really ready to give up and move on. Like, I was already ready to move on, but like, that was just the nail in the coffin for me. So he messages me and he was like, I just feel like you were everything that I wanted, but I wasn't, the man that you deserve. So I'm like, you know what? Suck my dick. Like, that's a bullshit ass excuse. Like, whatever. Like, it did kind of slice my head up a little bit, but I was also like, that's a bullshit excuse. Whatever. That's just some bullshit that you concocted to fill my head with. So one night, I just ordered myself some food on my fat girl shit. I'm sitting here watching YouTube videos, chilling, and I hear his sound system. So I live in Pasadena. That is not a common thing to hear loud ass thumping music. So I was like, that's weird. Why would he be here? So of course I'm like, oh fuck. Grab all my all my fat girl snacks, shove them in the closet, hurry up and get myself together, trying to make it look like I wasn't just, getting my fat girl on and go outside. So I'm like, what are you doing here? And he was like, I mean, I can leave. I'm like, nah, you can chill, whatever. So he comes in, we're talking. I'm like, so what the fuck? Like, so, questioning. He's like, things are just getting serious, and I was scared. I have abandonment issues, and I was just like, I mean, I guess, but like, whatever. So he stayed with me for a couple of days. I was happy, I was telling everybody like, oh, he came back, like everything's gravy now, being dumb. So he had told me like, hey, I'm getting ready to go to Disney World with my daughter. So I was like, oh, that's cool, like, have fun. I was like, oh, who are you going with? And he was like, oh, I'm going with my baby mama. So I'm like, okay, like some people do have a good rapport with their past, with their children's parents or whatever. Like that's not a totally unheard of thing. But I was kind of like, okay, whatever. Like you're just coming back. Like you know, I'm not really holding too much clout. Whatever. So I'm like, hey, give me a souvenir, like joking around. He's like, okay, whatever. So he leaves. He stayed for a week before he went to Disney World. He texted me here and there, which I was shocked. So he comes back, everything's fine. He asked me for if he could borrow some money. So I was like, okay, it's not an uncommon thing. He had helped me out when I needed money, I had helped him out. It was never an issue. So I was like, okay, just give it back to me when you get paid. He's like, all right, cool. So I said, okay, I'm gonna see you on Monday, right? Yeah, I'll see you Monday night. So I'm like, okay. I made sure that, you know, resumed back to schedule, made sure that I had dinner ready. Everything was cool. So he doesn't show up again. Now, at this point, you know, you would think I've had enough. And I had enough. This was it for me. I was ready. I'm done. Like you can't just drop in and drop out of my life and expect me to like run back to you every time. So I was like, you know what? Just come get your shit. I'm done. Whatever. So I'm up on the late night creeping. I'm like, something is telling me to creep. Something is telling me to look at his baby mama's page. They were just together. I'm sure nothing's gonna be there, right? No. I look at his baby mama's Facebook and they're all booed up together, all hugged up, kissed up on each other on Facebook. So I'm like, bet. So you thought that you was gonna just come in and just swoop me off my feet again? I don't think so. So I said, I called him and I left him a voicemail and I said, look, you're caught. Like, don't think this shit is sweet because it's not. Just come get your shit, give me my money, I'm done. So I messaged the baby mama. Now, mind you, I know that some of the stuff that I'm saying does sound a little crazy, outlandish, but you know what? At this point, I was hurt. I had put up with so much of his shit and made so many excuses for him that I was done. So I had messaged his baby mama and I said, hey, can you tell him to come get his shit? And so she didn't respond. So I was like, whatever, she's probably like, who the fuck is this girl? So a day goes by. I get a message. It's her. She goes, his stuff is at your house. Like, I'm confused. So I said, yeah, he's been staying at my house. So she was like, he's been staying at your house? Like, and I was like, oh, fuck. I'm about to have a serious conversation that I kind of knew that was going to happen, but I really wasn't ready for. So I said, I really think that we need to talk. Can you call me? So I had about a 45-minute conversation with her, and I learned a lot of things that I kind of knew were going to happen, but I really didn't want to have that conversation. I really didn't want to know. So, um, he had proposed to her February 15th, so 2 days after he had hung out with me. And I guess the reason that he didn't have time for me anymore was because that he, I guess, was gonna recommit himself to her. He had proposed to her. The car that he was driving, that was his aunt's car, was her car. The house that I've been dropping him off at in the past, that was his aunt's house, was really her house that they lived at together. Um, she had put him out because he wasn't basically taking care of his end of the living situation. He wasn't being financially stable, so she kicked him out. So I guess that when he got kicked out, he needed a place to stay. So I conveniently was there. Um, so whenever him and her would get into an argument, he would come running to me. And yeah, so she never had a real relationship with her mother, so that whole story of him spending time with his daughters at the grandmother's house was a lie. Um yeah, he sees his daughters every weekend, all the time. His oldest is always there, so it's not a rare thing that he sees her. He had told me that the whole way that he had met his youngest daughter's mother was they were friends. The oldest mother and the youngest, they had been friends, and that's how he had met her. Well, that was a lie. She didn't know her prior. She had been there. She had helped him fight for custody of his oldest daughter. It was just lie after lie after lie. So she had confronted him, and meanwhile he's sending me all these messages like, oh, you're salty, your life is shit, so you had to ruin somebody else's life. Just mean, 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 mean shit. So I'm like, whatever, like, you're just mad that you got caught. You're mad that you can't play us both anymore. So we, any questions that she had, I answered. Anything that she wanted to tell me, I was there to listen. Um, so he basically tried to make it seem like he had never cared about me. He had no emotional attachments to me. I was just some place to live and somebody to have sex with. And that's why he proposed to her, because he wanted to be with her, and that I guess that I was just, something for him to hump on. But, I could believe that, I guess, but a lot of the things that we talked about, a lot of the body language, the situations, um, just really didn't lead me to believe that it was just that. Maybe I read too much into it. Maybe, I fell for him way harder than I should have, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, it's just so hard for me to believe that I I ignored so much stuff that was right in front of my face. And now to think about it, I'm not even really mad. I'm just like, my mind is blown. Like, this is some shit that like you read about, that you watch on TV, like never in a million years, like almost like a little over a year. Like, how long did you really think that you were going to be able to hide that, you know? So the moral of the story is, trust your gut. You know, not not everything is as cracked up to be, you know. Even if he's slinging that wood, he's driving you around in a nice car, you know, he's paying your bills, he's doing whatever, he's doing all this shit, there's still always potential that if you feel that something ain't right, then it's a possibility that something ain't right. And now, speaking as a single mother myself, um, I think that we are vulnerable. Maybe not more vulnerable than a lot of people, but we are kind of vulnerable because, you know, we're hurt. We of course want that attachment. Well, at least I do. I was, you know, lonely and sad, and she had sent me a screenshot that he had sent her, and he had said, you know, I took advantage of her situation. And I think that hurts me the most because I'm a very nice person. I never want to see anybody struggling. If I can help you and I have the means to help you, I'm going to help you, because I never want to see anybody in a bad situation. If I can help, of course I'm going to help, no matter if you know, I've known you for 2 minutes or 2 years. And the fact that he was so bold to say that to her, like, that was okay, like, that was an excuse, and like that she was going to take it, you know, it's just crazy. Now, mind you, this could have went a totally different way. She could have, you know, called me all types of names and, you know, basically made it a lot of drama, and she didn't. You know, she's a very nice person. She was very thankful that I told her. And I'm glad that I am too, because I've been in that situation, and I wish somebody would have came and told me, like, hey, like, this person that you think that everything is okay with, it's not. Like, yeah, like, your man's creeping in my DMs or some shit like that. Like, I just want everybody to know that not only is this story fucking crazy, but shit is real out here, and you really have to watch who you fucking bring around your kids. You have to watch who you let up in your house, like, who you trust. 2017, we've came a long way, but shit is serious out here, my guy. Like, it is real fucking serious out here. So, here's the video. It's long, it's wordy. Um, if it's not that great, I'm sorry. This is my first video. Maybe next video I'll have some editing skills, because I do have a lot of crazy stories, but thank you for watching.